So the first model that we have is the market. Okay, there we go. So, one of the challenges that we have, let me explain what this model is. One of the challenges you often hear from your clients is we're trying to think about organizational structure. Do you have any organizational models we can look at? And challenges with that is every organization is a little bit different. Really, the reality is it's not looking at the organization chart. We would actually tell you that that's a mistake. It's looking at how should the organization works together is really an ecosystem. They're different. You really begin to think about how do I draw the chart, you should really think about, well, what do you want the organization to do? This is a model that is designed right now for a large company. We have some other models coming out that will be for medium and small organizations. I'll explain what we're doing with all this as well. So the idea here is that now it helps clients is it allows them to begin to think differently about structure, to think about how do my roles begin to work together. Old school model was, you might hear the phrase, I just want one throat to choke. And think about this for a minute. Think about digital marketing. How can anybody own digital marketing? It's hard, right? It's involved in everything. In fact, that was one of the questions yesterday in the CMO forum that one CMO asked. And another CMO looked at him and said, don't take this the wrong way, but isn't that you? Aren't you the person in charge of digital marketing? Which was actually sort of profound because it is throughout this marketing ecosystem. So how this helps is it really allows clients to say, let's take a step back and look at our organization and think through how is this organization structured. So it first helps identify from beginning to end, what's the CMO doing from a strategy standpoint? How do I take that strategy and then manifest it into a go-to-market approach, which is really what you see under solution marketing there. That's really where they're determining how will customer marketing, persona marketing, industry marketing, how will the various forms of how I'm going to go to market come together. What we mean by that solution marketing area. Once they do that, depending on the size of the organization, now somebody's got to go build programs for the rest of the organization. There's a group called global marketing programs, global marketing. If they're a smaller organization, they might actually that with their demand center might be one organization. Usually there's a discipline of, okay, now that I have a strategy of how I'm going to go to market, various ways in which to do that, how do I now build programs that the organization can leverage? Once I build the programs, now it's who's actually going to do the execution. The old model was to take those programs and simply ship them. You know what, this sucks because you're not getting me what I need. And the bigger challenge was very few of them were actually appropriately using digital marketing. So Demand Center sort of emerged, and the Demand Center is there to assemble the campaigns that are coming from this global marketing, leverage marketing automation, so they become a hub for marketing automation, and to act as an internal agency. In some cases, they might actually act as a program management office to manage external agencies. Look at Motorola Solutions. They have in North America, all of their North America team, for the most part, are people. And out of North America, they have fewer people and they have lots of agencies that they use. And that from a prospecting standpoint, creative standpoint. There it then goes to the field, who then has now this great conduit in which they can leverage. And you see that this ecosystem doesn't work unless there's infrastructure, which is really what marketing is providing. And marketing investment for marketing, it's been a trend for the last few years. And that's really a statement from CMOs saying, hey, I'm going to build leverage into my marketing structure. So there needs to be both the marketing operation as well as part of that is the use of the web, which is why you see the dotted lines. It's really throughout this ecosystem. So saying one web group that does everything will work. You really need to have governance, but you need a at the bottom, there's, this doesn't work too without looking at strategic communications. That standpoint, looking at how content huge issue. Actually, some really good work coming out on that. So that's a little bit about what the marketing ecosystem is. This is really designed to be, a discussion with the client when they're asking the question, what should my organization look like? Some of this is to say different versions of this, kind of small, medium, long. Great way to say, before we get to your chart, let's talk about this. So just so you know where we're going from this is a process in which we're creating a methodology in which the clients will almost do a benchmark for us, where they fill out their goals, their strategies. They'll then identify the competencies and processes within.
Typically when we get this question, whether it be an inquiry or we're talking with a prospect, so what should my organization look like, John? The next step would be to schedule a call with you to say, or to describe, to have that company describe their organization to you, right? So I just want to, maybe can you elaborate on what you see that whole overall inquiry process to be?
Well, what works best is for them to be able to share before the for them, here's this ecosystem, here's some other research. This is an example for Red Hat I think it was Red Hat, in redoing their organizational structure. So we went really led them to. It was red. I got that part right. It led them to a few discussions to figure out what the organizational structure looked like. And he walked away with, okay, here's what I'm going to go do. Because it challenges them to say, the old model, if you just look at an org chart, how are you going to have a centralized? The best thing to do is when they bring up the subject of we want organizational discussion, let's take a look at your organizational structure and then we.
Okay.
All right.
Great. If I could add a footnote to that, the other thing that would be comes from deeper down in the organization than the CMO or a senior VP of marketing kind of level. If it's being sourced out of somebody at a product market or somebody. Sometimes more so maybe when I'm taking the inquiry than when John. It's really great if you would then pull in or Matt or Jason or somebody. A lot of times the orientation and where they're coming from in that service line, you're going to have a lot of questions that position that and help you position that knows all of this, but we don't have John present. It's really